Well, there you are. You love that, don't you?
Beautiful.
Better than the old
It
one?
sets me up for the night.
It does me as well. It puts hairs on your chest.
No, it's slightly better than the old stuff.
Right.
Slightly.
Yes.
So don't let it go to your head.
No, as if I would. As if I would. Big question is, and everybody will want to know, are you feeling better than you were last week when you were poorly bad in bed with a shawl on both feet and one sock waiting for the doctor to come and rub your chest with Vic? But Vic said she wouldn't let him.
I'm getting there, thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Because it's not the cough that carries you off. It's the cough that carries you off.
Well, the cough's still there, so if I sort of hop off, you know that it's...
You've got a bad leg.
That it's coming on. Yeah. Hopefully I'll survive, thank you.
I will survive.
But that's very caring of you.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I like to be caring. We have a fab night for you tonight. We have Oz. We have NNA. We have Tax. We have, what have we got? Double Vision. It's just a standard Thursday night in Vapeland.
All right.
That's what it is. Because that was what was on the tweet that Matt sent out. Didn't you, Matt?
The tweet? Was I supposed to send the tweet out?
Did you not?
Oops. I might have done. I've forgotten.
Sav?
What?
You haven't trained him very well, have you?
I know, I tell you can't get the stuff these days. What can I say?
You cannot either. I tell you what, it's terrible. It's terrible. Terrible,
I
terrible.
thought it was just our sort of age group that forgot.
Sorry, who are you? Anyway, listen, look,
Right.
look. Let's get straight into this, shall
I
we?
think so, yes.
Have you heard that the EU is considering putting tax on e-cigs?
Yes.
I've got a
Surprise, surprise.
surprise. Aren't we? We're shunned and stocked. Shunned and stocked we are. Where's it gone? I cannot find it. Oh, there it is. Yes, I thought to myself, David, if you do this live on the show tonight, you're going to go off into one of your rants, and we can't be having that. We need to think this through. So I recorded this earlier. It's about tax. E-cigs are poised to be taxed at a higher rate across Europe. The European Commission and the Council have got their heads together and unanimously agreed a call for the European Commission to prepare a legislative proposal by 2017 in a draft document that's been seen by a number of different newspapers. In other words, they decided to try this and keep a lid on it. And what does this involve? Well, it could be as high as a 57% minimum that applies to ordinary tobacco cigarettes. That's 57% of the retail price. So something that would cost you a tenner, say, would now cost you £15.70. So it's time and a half if you want. If it was 20 quid, you would be looking at £34. This is a substantial increase in terms of pricing. What can we do about this? Well, the legislative proposal would go through sometime in 2017. It would need to be debated, it would need to be looked at, and so on and so forth. And we know how long European legislation takes. Here's the thing though, if we're out of Europe by then the UK is not going to be affected by it. But what do we need to do for our cousins and friends in France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and the rest of it? Well, we need to oppose this. Linda Bold has already started.
Well, e-cigarettes are not tobacco. They're not combustible. They don't contain any tobacco. And research that my colleagues did that has been released this week actually shows that around 900,000 people in England used an e-cigarette to stop smoking in 2014, and that they were more successful in quitting than those who used any other stop smoking aid put together. So my view is that although there's unanswered questions about e-cigarettes, they are potentially a very promising smoking cessation aid, and actually taxing them like cigarettes is punishing people who've given up smoking.
So, Nick Dunn.
And we need to build on all of that. So, go and see your MP, go and see your MEP, and tell them both that we as vapers do not and will not accept any additional tax on e-cigs. Speak to the people that you talk to when you're talking about e-cigs with people in public health and ask them the question: do you support the EU's proposed tax on e-cigs. If they say yes, or well, no, not really, but maybe 5% would be okay, then get them told there should be no sin tax on e-cigs. In fact, what it is punishment for stopping smoking. So here's what you need to do. Yes, don't wait for other people to do it. Do it yourself and do it now. Get them contacted. What do you make of this idea of taxing e-cigs at a minimum of 57% of retail price? Because that's the minimum level for cigarettes, don't you know?
Well, obviously I'm against it, but you'll remember a fortnight ago I asked our Canadian friend that the sort of corollary of a reduction in people smoking cigarettes is a loss of tax revenue.
Yes.
And had he any ideas as to how that tax revenue would be replaced, bearing in mind that we're living in this period of austerity? Now, to me, it was as plain as the nose on your face that e-cigs would be taxed. Not that, you know, I take the points that came across in your piece there, you know, the relevance of it in terms of tobacco cessation, but where else are governments going to get the money from? They'll see this as an easy target to replace the revenues that they're losing in tobacco.
Well, actually, Belgium's been thinking about this.
Right.
Because they've found a different way of raising shed loads of money. You know how under the TPD, or the implementation of the TPD rules, products have got to be notified as being e-cigs.
Yeah.
Right. Now, in the UK, it looks as though the cost for notifying a product is going to be 220 of Her Majesty's Golden Beer tokens. A mere bagatelle and nothing for a product registration. Right. It's not much. Belgium, we've just learned, not long before we came on air, £4,000.
Bloody hell.
Yes.
Right.
4,000 to register a product in Belgium. Now, this kind of highlights, because somebody did say, well, if we do exit, if we do a Brexit, right, is there any guarantee that the government's not going to screw us over? Well, as long as we've got this one, pretty much yes, there is. Because look at how the implementation's happening in the UK versus how it's happening in other places. So, for instance, the 2ml tank, the 10ml bottle, the 20 milligram is as put on the market, right, as it's sold. And I've got a little piece about the juice because I know people have been getting confused, so I've done something on that for a little bit later on, which will explain how this can all work. But the bottom line on it is at 220 quid for the registration, then that's way better than 4,000 euros, 4,000 quid, whatever it happens to be. It's way better than medicinal regulation and all of that kind of stuff. And in all of my dealings with Department of Health and the MHRA and what have you, and you're going to hear about what the NNA's been doing about that, the impression we're getting is they are trying to be as light touch and hands off as they possibly can. They're doing their very best not to screw us over. Sav, my dear, have you got anything to add about that? Because I know you've been involved as much as I've been with all of this. What do you make of it?
I mean, everything that you said, it's annoying. It's really, really frustrating because it is syntax and you're being punished for trying to do something that's good for you or better for you than you were doing before. And it's just really, really annoying. And I mean, I've grabbed some things that Chad have had to say about it as well, the ones that I can't read out.
Yes. I've had a quick look, yes.
Yes, there's a lot of very angry people, and I mean, Disco Dares asked the question that I'm sure a lot of people were thinking: will they also be taxing nicotine gum and patches at the same rate?
Well, no, because they're a medicinal. This is the bit, you see. This is the bit that knocks everybody for six, and it's indicative of what the attitudes were as the TPD was being discussed, and very different now, it has to be said. But the idea then was we want them to be medicines. And as Deborah Arnott was very keen on telling everybody, medicines only carry 5% VAT. What she didn't bother to tell everybody was it costs tens and hundreds of thousands to get a license. You can't do it for 3,000 to 7,000 that it would cost for testing on a mass market consumer e-cig. It's got to go through all of the flaming tests and everything else, and it's tens, if not hundreds of thousands to do it. And the registration fees are, I think, 9,800 and something, and you've got a renewal fee every so often of another 8,000, and you've got to have GMP, and you've got to pay however many thousands a day for somebody to come and have a look at your production facilities and all of that. So, yeah.
So, I mean, can I ask, Sav, does this surprise you?
No.
Ah.
Sadly, no.
Well, now, you see, the thing is, this got started 2.5 years ago. If you're a regular viewer of vaportrails.tv, you will remember that we featured a letter from an Italian MEP to the Commission, which went something along the lines of, hey, what do you know? My government is lose all of this money because nobody smoked the fags. They all now smoke the e-cigs, and we not get the money in. What are you going to do to replace the money we not get? That was roughly it, paraphrased. The spelling was right. That was basically it. He asked the Commission what the Commission was going to do to replace the loss of tax revenue due to the use of e-cigs. Now, as I recall, I've been looking up some documentation on this during the course of the day, and if I've got it right, 4 member states currently tax e-cigs. That's Portugal, Italy, Romania, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. I do apologise. You all right, Keith?
Yes.
No, it's all right. Now, Latvia, under the Latvian presidency, there was a move to get this taxation happening, and that was when this started. That's February of last year. This actually went to the Commission, and the idea was, apparently, that the Commission was going to sit on it. They've put a lid on a lot of things that they think is going to piss UK people off. They've moved stuff away in the diary. If you make a habit, as I do, of going to have a look to see what's coming up in the Union, in the European Union, in the EU Parliament, I get the emails every day that tells me what's going on, and you see somebody gets pushed off. And there's a whole load of stuff that would piss British people off has been put off, and there was a lid put on this, but a Freedom of Information request got it out because somebody remembered this was going on, and that's how the papers have got hold of it. So this is all intended, it was not intended to be made public. Well, it has been. Now, I had a conversation earlier on with someone who said, well, why do you want to make it a Brexit issue? And it's purely and simply because that's the stick. That's the biggest stick we've got. Because why does the Commission want to hide all of this? Why has the Commission put a tin hat on a whole load of other stuff and moved it back over? It is because they are absolutely shit scared that if we British people get to find out the shenanigans that they're going to be up to, that we will all vote to leave. That's the stick. Now we know. Make it about Britain leaving the EU. I am firmly convinced we'll not get screwed over by the current government. I can't speak for any other one, but certainly I do know, in terms of this whole negotiation that's going on in the EU, that most governments will be seeking advice from their health departments, and what we're trying to find out, because it's a taxation issue, is whether or not there is a veto available to the UK. If there is, then that's what we need to be pressing for, and as soon as I found out, we'll let you know. Now, Anything more from chat there, Sav?
Yes. Reptile Keeper said, after that Public Health England statement, the UK would have a hard time trying to impose tax. Trevor said, aren't we all bad people? Stop and smoke and deny the government their tax dollar. And Rob has said, they aren't losing money if it's our money. They could try spending less on things like the EU and the HS2. And Vapor said, take the money from tax avoiding big companies.
Well, there's another thing as well. This came up. If you're on Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, get on there because you find out all kinds of things. Did you know? This really boiled my urine. It really did. That the NHS has spent multiple thousands of pounds on YouTube videos to push some propaganda. The maximum views are 139. They've spent thousands and thousands of pounds on these animated cartoon videos.
I mean, I don't know the answer to this, but do you know how much revenue the government makes each year from taxing tobacco products?
Yes, I do.
How much?
10.9 billion in 2015.
Right. That's a lot of money to find.
Well, yes it is, but now here's the point. The government tells us that the cost to the economy of smoking is in the region of 12.7 billion. So, if they get 10.9 billion in this hand, and they're spending what they say, the cost to the economy is 12.7 billion.
Right.
Well, if you get rid of smoking altogether, there's 10.9 billion you're not getting, but it's also 12.7 billion that's not getting spent. I make that 1.8 billion into pocket. That's the figures. That's the figures they use. That's the figures I throw straight back at them.
Yes, but we're talking here about 1, Europe, 2, politicians.
Liars and more liars, you mean?
I'll leave that to your...
I think I've caught his cough. That's the one. Yes. Shall we talk about Oz?
I just don't find that surprising. I don't agree with it.
No.
But it's certainly not surprising.
Well, there you go. We've got to do something about it, haven't we?
It's a pity George Osborne wasn't an e-cig user. I assume he's not.
I dare not say anything. I think him and his mate Dave just buy pigs' heads every so often, you know. I cannot say much more than that. Wraithtex just said that 12.7 billion would be ongoing for 20 more years though, Day. I couldn't give a toss. I honestly couldn't give a monkeys. I really couldn't. Sorry. It's all completely bloody wrong. And Linda Bold is right. There is no reason why we should be punished for not smoking, and that's what they're doing. Anyway, look, the question is, where do I go now? Well, given that we've gotten quite political, let's talk about bottles. Let's do the bottles thing, right? Now, I have confused people, I understand that. But this is how Belgium needs to take note of this. Belgium, you need to take note of this, because this is how you can save, you could save at least 20,000 euros. At least 20,000 euros just on registration, and a further 36,000 euros on the science that you need to do in order to find out about it. Here we go. Okay, apparently I've confused people about this 10 milliliter and various different size bottles. Let me try and explain it if I can. Here we have a 10 milliliter bottle. I want you to assume that it's flavourless. It's a 10 milliliter bottle of 20 milligram e-liquid. That would need to be notified to the MHRA. It's a nicotine containing liquid. That's the only thing that needs a notification. So, if alongside a 20 ml bottle containing 10 mils of flavouring and diluent, you would take the 10 mils and tip it into that bottle. And that would give you 20 mils of 10 milligram liquid in any bottle you like. It could be a dropper bottle, it could be anything. Let's move that out of the way. And this is a 30 ml bottle. and let's say it's got 20 milligrams of liquid in it. You tip your 10 milligrams of notified liquid into the 30 ml bottle, and you have 30 ml of roughly 7 milligrams. Let's get that out of the way and look at this one. This is a 40 ml bottle. Again, you would stick your 10 ml of notified nicotine containing liquid into the 30 ml of liquid that's in there, giving you 40 milligrams, and you would end up with 5 milligram liquid, but 40 ml of it. And this is the bit, you could have a dropper in. It doesn't need to have the leak-free refill mechanism. Similarly, this one, which is 50 ml, and let's say there's 40 ml of liquid in there, you tip your 10 ml into it, and you end up with 50 ml of 4 milligram liquid. This is a 60 ml bottle, we'll say, and again, you would tip your 10 ml of notified nicotine containing liquid into the 50 millilitres of liquid that's in there that has no nicotine in it, and you end up with 60 millilitres of 3 milligram. The only piece that needs to be notified is the 10 milligram. The rest don't need to be notified. So you could quite easily wander into your bricks and mortar and say, can I have a 20 ml kit please for 10 milligrams, a 30 ml kit please, a 40 ml, a 50 ml or a 60 ml. I wouldn't bother going any lower than that. What this means is, and there should be a graphic on this to show you the pricing, but basically if you were to produce all of these bottles, they could only be produced in 10 milligram if they had nicotine in them. These don't. They would each have to be notified at a cost of, and the cheapest I've seen quoted is £3,000. So you're looking at 3, 6, 9, 12, £15,000, £18,000 to notify versus £3,000 to notify. These bottles wouldn't need to be notified. It's as easy as that. There you go. Now, did that make sense? Did you follow that?
Yes.
So, in other words, as a producer, as a vendor, as a producer, that is somebody who is the first point of contact for the juice in the UK. So it's if you make it, basically. And this would really do Belgium a lot of good at €4,000 per notification. All of those bottles, you had 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60 mils that took you from 10 down to 7, down to 6, down to 5, down to 3. That roughly speaking. And I apologise for mixing milligrams and millilitres up. Trust me, by the time you said milligram and millilitre 1,000 times, you get them the wrong way around. But the bottom line on it is, for notifying one bottle, just one bottle of flavourless 20 milligram nic, just on one flavour with 5 different concentrations that, alright, give you different volumes of it, you would only need, Belgium, to notify one 10 ml bottle of 20 milligram nic. You could then have ranges of flavours, as many as you wanted, that you didn't need to notify. At least that's the situation in the UK. If Belgium goes the other way, then there's nothing we can do to help it. But this is there for everybody. A juice manufacturer could, in essence, have one notification to make, and that would be for a 10 millilitre, pardon, oh dear me, that's the gin, the Bombay Sapphire, a 10 millilitre bottle of 20 milligram juice would be the only thing that would need to notify, and then you would ask for a 10 milligram kit, a 7, a 6, a 5, a 4, a 3, whatever, and you would get the appropriate size bottle of whatever flavour it is you wanted. That's the way around it for people that think they can't afford to be compliant. And so far, I can't find anything to say that that is wrong. The big upset about all of this, of course, is anybody that might want to use 54 milligram. You're stuffed, basically. And from the point of view of putting the kits together, it's not worth doing it for anything above 10 milligram because you're not going to add that much to it. Sav?
Lorraine is saying in chat that the above 18 milligram sort of percentage users, that's 20% of people still are using 18 milligram or 12 milligram and above. That's a lot of people still.
It is, and I can't find any way around it. I've been racking my brains trying to find a way around all of this. I was even checking through all of my old chemistry textbooks and searching around on the web to try and find something that would extract only glycerin or PG out of a diluted nicotine, a 20 milligram nicotine, to try and get it up to something more, and I can't find a way around it. That said, on the bright side, we've got until a year on May the 20th to find a way around this and you know, go and bang on doors. We need to be always going and talking to our MPs and our MEPs and saying this is bloody stupid. We need to get this sorted out. We absolutely have got to be doing this. I'm convinced of it. But we should have been doing this for the last 3 years, but we need to be doing it more and more heavily now. And yes, I do appreciate that the UK is probably letting us off lightly compared to what's happening in Denmark and Sweden and Norway and various other places around Europe and in the EU. But even so, it's not right. And I think we've got to try and take a lead. We've got to try and tell the rest of Europe, or the EU more precisely really, look, you're all being idiots. This is the way it should be done, because I am firmly convinced if we get this right, if we do this the right way, yeah, the results will absolutely certainly follow. Consider that since 2010, there is now, according to the latest study that's come out of Robert West, there's over 800,000 people have used e-cigs to become completely abstinent. That's on top of the current, I think it's 981,000 that are fully switched currently, or at least they were in 2015, 2014. And then there's all of the dual users, a lot of whom are on the journey towards being fully switched. That's a hell of a lot of people no longer smoking because of e-cigarettes. And if we can continue to get it right and get it even righter, betterer than it is now, then this is the best experiment to show the rest of the world. It absolutely is. Including, but not limited to, Australia. You ever been to Australia, Keith?
No.
Our mate Cliffy goes to Australia every couple of years.
Right.
And he's over there now. And he sent me some video. Have a look at these cobbers.
Right guys, I'm walking into the gift gallery shop, which is now the e-cig vape lover shop in Australia, in Adelaide. And we're going to meet a guy called Eric. And here he is.
Hi Eric.
How you going?
All right, mate. Okay. So how's the e-cig business in Australia then?
Oh, it's pretty healthy. It's still in its infancy. We've got a long way to go with vaping in Australia. But yeah, all going very well. It's a growth industry.
Okay, and you were on the markets, weren't you?
Jep's cross market for around about close to 4 years. One of the earliest vapor sellers in Adelaide. There was only myself and 2 other people doing it with a bricks and mortar setup. So now I've had 2 shop moves. This is the latest in my growth. Yes.
Right. Okay, great. The shop's looking really good.
Well, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, all the vape juices there.
Yeah, got your Decang, got your Thrive, just my 2 main brands. I've been using those for about 4 years. To me, they're the perfect balance between quality and budget.
Yeah. Right.
You can go a lot more expensive, but normally you're paying for the packaging.
What type of e-cigs do you find you sell the most?
Probably the starter kits I'll sell the most of. Your basic CE4 EVOD kits, which are the same as the ones up here. Got your these sort of kits, same as those, but they come with the single case or a couple of double cases, so you can get everything you need in the kits. Nowadays, more people are coming into the middle end bracket, which are your e-leafs. A lot of people know about your iSticks e-leafs, so they're kind of your more budget box models. But increasingly these days, I'm finding people are coming in at this range here, the bigger units,
So the bigger
and,
units.
and your more well-known brands.
High wattage and
High wattage, better circuitry, just a more reliable vape, less issues.
Right, I like your Bob Marley e-cig.
Yeah, they're pretty popular.
takes
palm leaves only.
Palm leaves only. Dry vapors, yeah.
Dry herb vapor, yeah, they're becoming pretty popular.
Okay. And like in most shops in Australia, there's water on tap.
No, that's your VGPG for people that
right.
want to mix their own customised balances of VGPG. But I do have water available over there.
Okay. Oh yeah, over there.
Yes, there's much water available.
You're doing the concentrate kit.
For mixing their own liquids, everything you need in there: concentrate, syringe, empty bottles, and your VGPG mixers.
Excellent.
So yeah, a good starting point for people that want to play with home brews.
Yeah.
Which I have about 15 homemade flavours here, which I've made myself. Yeah.
What about the situation regarding government rules and so on in Australia? What's it like here?
Tell me about it. I hate even talking about the dismal state of affairs, but there's been a parliamentary review done last week. Hopefully there'll be some sound recommendations made from that.
Okay.
But yeah, we've still got a long way to go. I wish we'd follow the UK or Europe or America.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is.
It might happen, you never know.
Yeah.
The main problem is, I think you've agreed with me, the problem with Australia is that the uptake of e-cigs is very slow because of no nicotine content.
Exactly right. Unfortunately, we're allowed to buy nicotine, but not allowed to sell it. So our hands are tied, and of course, I lose a lot of business because of that, as most e-cig sellers in Australia.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Okay, Eric. Well, thanks very much. You've given us an incentive and told us how it works in Oz.
Happy vaping.
Happy vaping, and see you on Vapor Trails TV, eh?
Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers.
There you go, that was Eric in Oz, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, vape shop out in the Avon, selling it all. That was Cliffy the bush kangaroo. Yes. What are you laughing at, Matt?
Nothing. You carry on.
Now listen, look, I have got nothing but thanks for Cliff for doing that. And actually, I'm going to give everybody a challenge. You've all got phones, smartphones that'll do video. I know you haven't, Keith. It's all right. Don't sweat.
All right.
You've all got smartphones that'll do video. What you do, you wander into a shop, not like that. Oops. Like that, he said, bringing the program back up. You go in with it that way on, landscape, so that it all fits the screen nicely, and shoot some video just like Cliffy did. It would be lush to see what the vape shops in your area are like. And that was, how long was it? Well, about 4.5, 5 minutes. Why not? Do 4.5, 5 minutes, interview the people behind the counter at your local vape shop, get in touch, and we'll play it out.
You could do that round the corner.
Pardon?
You could do that round the corner. You could.
My wife, well, yes, I know, but I want other people to do it.
Yes.
You know.
I think it's a good idea, that.
I think so. I'd love to see what vape shops are like up and down the country. So there you are. What? Gillis, listen, stop it. He did it. He went out and he did it. Don't knock the lad. But please, if you go out and do it in landscape. There's good vapors. Thank you very much. I would love it. We absolutely would love it. Let's move on, because we've looked at tax, we've looked at bottles, and we've looked at us. Good eye, Cobber. Nice. Oh, and yes, just as a reminder, tomorrow, one more sleep, Mario Glover arrives here from New Zealand.
Of course, yes.
And Mario will be joining us on the show next Thursday, almost for certain. It just depends on whether she gets her sleep out, because it's a 30-hour trip across from here, and I doubt she'll get much kip.
Bloody hell.
She's had very little to eat, because she's gluten-free, you know. So she tweeted off the plane and said they didn't have the gluten-free. But that was just a bit from Auckland across into Melbourne, which is in Australia. And now she's in the air I can feel her coming in the air tonight. She's in the what? What, Sav? What?
That was just such a bad line.
Cheesy.
Very.
Yes. Anyway, yes, she'll be over Africa somewhere now, I think, or India or whatever.
So about 11:30, you said, when she actually arrives.
She lands
here.
Lands at 11:20 at Newcastle. Yes, Novo Castrium on a 777. She'll be on an Airbus 380 at the minute. Supping Bombay Sapphire gin, if I know her.
Oh, she's
Lots
a
of it.
gin drinker.
Yes,
All right.
yes. So I'm on Amazon first thing in the morning for a crate.
A crate.
There you go. So yes, there you go. What's that? I'm not reading chat. I'm not going to read chat. If there's anything that needs reading in chat, we have the best chat reader on the planet. He's sat there stroking her pussy.
Behind her.
She's got 2 pussies.
Oh, I didn't see the other one.
Yeah, well, there's not many women you can say that about, is there, really? Which is probably just
Quite,
as well.
yes.
Yes.
Talking about women with 2 pussies.
Right.
What's Sav?
I'm just wondering how you're going to make that link.
Well, this is how I'm going to make that. Talking about women with 2 pussies, one of my very best friends is trustee of the New Nicotine Alliance, and here's her report on what we've been doing.
Hi VTTV people, Sarah here from NNA. Just a quick update on what we've been up to. I think most of you know us from Twitter, and if you follow our accounts you probably know most of this, but hopefully I can give you a bit more information. In the recent few weeks, we've done the all-party parliamentary group in Westminster, where Lorian and Jerry were both speakers. That seemed to go very well, although there's the usual issue with not many parliamentarians turning up, which seems to be a feature of most APPGs, to be honest, but that doesn't mean the message doesn't get through. They do quite often send their researchers if it's a subject that they're interested in. One of the other advantages of APPGs is the people who go along to them. I had the opportunity to speak to a guy from Stop Smoking Services in Sussex, who has since then been in email contact with me about helping them with their e-cig friendliness. After the APPG, I think the next thing that came up was, as you will all have seen, no doubt, the superb e-cig briefing from the National Centre for Smoking Cessation Training, NCSCT, which Lauren and I were involved in as reviewers. Now, that document was written by Andy McEwen and Hayden McRobbie, and all credit goes to them. When we were first sent it for review, it was already a spectacular document, I have to say. And what they wanted from us was the kind of the nuances from the consumers, which we were pleased to help with. And also, you know, a bit of help with the wording of some sections and that sort of thing. As with all of these things, PHE were the ones with the purse strings, so they had the final say on what went into the document. And I hope everybody thinks that what came out of it was excellent. You know, we were really pleased about it and really proud to have been a part of it. Next thing is, I went to a meeting at the MHRA. I was the only consumer there, the only sole consumer, if you like. Pretty much everybody else, apart from Hazel Cheeseman from Ash, was from industry, but of course most of them are vapors as well anyway. So at break time, when everybody had to disappear from the building for a vape, because there's no vaping allowed in the MHRA building, the room literally emptied and everybody was outside vaping. But that meeting, well, it came as a bit of a surprise to me because I thought it was going to be the MHRA giving us information. But in fact, it turned out to be the other way around. They had invited us there to get information from us. Now, most of you probably know that the MHRA have been, Department of Health and MHRA have been undertaking consultation on those bits of the TPD where there is some flexibility. And it does seem as if they are going to take as light a touch approach as they possibly can. But obviously, as far as they're concerned, they're obliged to implement the TPD, so they've got to do it. But it was an interesting day. We had two speakers, one from the MHRA who filled us in on where they're up to, which I don't think would really be news to anyone. You know, they've already released the draft documents. And then after each speaker, there was sort of breakout round the table sessions where they wanted specific questions and ideas answered. Second speaker was a guy from the Department of Health who was talking about advertising. And I have to say both speakers had trouble getting past their second slide before people were interrupting with questions. Some of the most difficult ones of which were on the advertising side of things, where it seems that the MHRA are determined to allow information to be imparted, but it shouldn't be promotional in nature, but nobody seems to have defined the difference between information and promotion. And another issue was, well, is it promotion if we send it out to our signed up email list and all that sort of thing? And to be honest, the MHRA just didn't know the answers to the questions. The other subject that was covered was the notification regime, which stands every chance of being total chaos. And basically the way it works is that all the existing products on the market at the moment will need to notify by November 2016 so that they're compliant by May 2017. And so that's going to be a huge number of products. And it seems as if the EU Common Portal, which is some highfalutin computer system that's supposedly going to handle all this, hasn't even been finished yet. Nobody really knows how it's going to work. It's likely to fall over on the first day, according to most people, mainly because certainly the UK has vastly underestimated the number of notifications that will be required. And several of the people from industry who were at the meeting were saying that each notification for liquids, where they've got to do emissions and tox tests, is likely to run to 300, 400, 500 pages for each notification. And I think even the MHRA could tell that it's going to be chaos, but it was good that they invited people in and took their views, and I hope that that's going to be an ongoing process. And they do want to get to a wider number of people, particularly in the independent sector. There were no tobacco company-owned companies at the meeting, and somebody actually asked them whether that was deliberate, and their answer was, well, basically we feel that the tobacco companies can look after themselves. We want to make sure that the independent industry, that their views are heard, and that we can do what we can to keep them competitive with the big, with the big guys. So, all in all, it was quite a positive meeting, I thought. I think the MHRA learnt more than we did, and I think the main thing they learnt was that they're completely out their depth. So, obviously, that's going to be an ongoing thing. Straight after the MHRA meeting, I toddled off down to Southwark, where Horizon were filming their documentary with Dr. Michael Mosley. And they contacted NNA because they wanted vapors for filming. but they didn't want anybody who would be known in public health circles. So that kind of, ruled out any of us that do the conferences and things like that. But we managed to pull together 6 vapors for their filming. All of them very knowledgeable. All of them sort of filled in on the issues. So I'm really hoping that that's going to be quite positive. Oh, one more thing that we've been up to, I know Dave's spoken about it a lot, was Glasgow School of Vape. Now, I couldn't make it to this one, and I was so jealous of the guys who could, because the last one I went to was absolutely fantastic. Just can't tell you how welcoming Scottish vapers are when we go up there, and they really do give they give us a warm welcome, and they always fundraise for us. And thank you so much to Scottish Vapers for the funds that they raised at the recent Glasgow School of Vape. Coming up on March the 9th, which just happens to be No Smoking Day, we've got a shindig in the Scottish Parliament. Mike Mackenzie, I think it is, who's a Scottish Member of Parliament. He's sponsoring the event, and we're hoping for a good turnout. It's a couple of hours with refreshments and stuff, but we've got Heather May Morgan speaking, Sheila Duffy speaking, and Chris Russell speaking, alongside Andy Morrison and Steve Christie, with Jerry Stimson chairing the event. We've invited, basically pretty much all of the Parliament, I think. I don't know, Andy will have to tell you more about that. And anybody else who's got an interest in or we hope would have an interest in harm reduction issues in Scotland. That's shaping up to be a really good event, I think. And again, I'm going to miss it, because I've got to do a talk for Medway in Kent Stop Smoking Services. So unfortunately I won't be able to join them, but Paddy and Jerry and Andy and Steve are up there. I believe Lauren's going as well. So I'm afraid I missed that party, but I will have the joys of Kent instead. Coming up also, we've got another project with NCSCT and Public Health England coming up. Can't say too much about that, other than to say that it might be video related. So I've got high hopes that that's going to be as positive as the e-cig briefing, because again, Andy McEwen is arranging it, and he'll be deciding the content alongside us. We'll be partnering them on that project. So I'll tell you more about that when I can. I really don't know that much about it. We've had 2 or 3 meetings so far, but we need to nail down the details, and plus I'm probably not allowed to say that much yet. But that's quite exciting. And, well, at the moment, Jerry and Paddy are absolutely flat out with the Global Forum on Nicotine, which looks like it's going to be incredible this year. We've got a showing of the Billion Lives film on the Thursday, followed by the Thursday night, well, I'm supposed to call it start of conference party, but it's the piss up. Followed by 2 days with what looks like a really, really good programme of speakers. And it's actually not that expensive for vapers this year, so if you can go, sign up. I'm apparently in charge of vapour wrangling. We will have some limited free spaces, but most of these are going to be allocated to other European countries, also Asia and Australia. But the cost isn't the end of the world. If you can get yourself there, please do, because it is an incredible event, and you get to meet all of those people who've been annoying you on Twitter forever. Also coming up, we've got Vape Jam at the Excel Centre, where we are sharing a stand with Vapers in Power, possibly Vapers Org as well. I'm not sure if they're actually going, or whether they're just going to send us stuff. But that's actually a 3-day show, and I think we'll be there all 3 days, including the business to business day, which is the first day. And similar, I believe, is going on in the Birmingham one, which I can't remember the name of. I should have researched. But anyway, hopefully that's given you a bit of a roundup of what we've been up to. And all that's left for me to say really is, thank you so much for all your support. We really wouldn't be able to do it without you. And I'm not just talking about financial support. I'm talking about the moral support. It makes it so much easier if we know that people are backing us up. So thank you very much for that. And I'll see you on the flip side.
And that was Sarah Jakes. Sarah 2.5 Pussy Jakes, as she's now known on Twitter, apparently. I haven't been to check it out myself, but apparently that's her new handle on Twitter. I do like that one. And she's right. At Vape Jam, we're there 3 days. I'll be there all 3 days. So please, please, please come up and say hello if you're there. If you're a vendor, come and talk to us on the business to business day. Love to see you. And at Vapor Expo, we've been putting plans in place with the... how can I put this? We have a kind of a Skype chat that's all to do with the tech, isn't it, Matt?
Yes, we're currently beta testing, and we got something particularly special planned with any luck.
Yes, with a little bit of luck and the following wind, this is what we're thinking about doing at Vapor Expo. Live shows from Vapor Expo. I've been testing the technology, and Matt's quite excited, aren't you?
I'm very excited. I nearly exploded in excitement.
Yeah.
Do you need a tissue?
No. I use big paper towels, not tissues.
He ejaculated. Yes. What? It's a bit like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, they counted how many ejaculations there were in the Sherlock Holmes novels. Apparently, Watson ejaculated a lot.
Right.
But you can't do that, Holmes. Watson ejaculated. He had a hell of a time. Well, look at Matt's face. Look at Matt's face. QI's got a lot to answer for, Back on a serious note.
Well, I've moved away a bit, haven't we?
Just a tad, yes. NNA, look, I've said this before. I'm pleased as punching and as proud as a proud thing to be a trustee of the NNA. What Sarah's told you is that's just over the last month, really. What we've been doing, what we've got coming up. There's so much going on. You've got no idea how high a regard I have for Sarah and for Lorian, who, for whatever reason, tend to be the face of the NNA. But there's a whole other board of people that are backing them up as well, and we're all doing stuff, and the stuff that we can never talk about until it's all kind of done, and then you find out when it's done, like the NCSC, if I can't remember it either, the NCSCT stuff. We couldn't talk about that until it was published, and then we kind of say, well, yes, because it's written on there. And you'll have seen as well, if you looked at the tax pieces, that Lorian was quoted in the papers, in the Times and the Guardian. What? Well, they can't spell it. I can't say it. It's not my fault. So yes, we're busy, and we're always trying to get our noses into the media wherever we can, get our words, get our faces in there, working on behalf of vapers all over the UK and with affiliates in Australia and other countries all around the world. So, I think the NNA is a damn good thing, and we managed this on very little funding. I mean, if we had the same funding that Glance had, 21 million a year, I'm telling you now, things would be very, very different.
Bloody hell. We
do it on a shoestring. Everybody's a volunteer, nobody gets paid. That's the way it is at the minute. So it's all good, all good stuff. Now, I have noticed that there's a fella who apparently has waxed his chin in chat. That would be Ridian Man, isn't it?
Waxed his chin?
Waxed his chin. Right. Apparently he'd asked whether I'd been waxing me chest.
Really?
That worries me more than somewhat. For a number of reasons. One of the biggest ones being, if that's where he's looking when we're on screen, I'm keeping me back to the wall everywhere we go. Because it's just, that's worrying. Ridian, stop, look up here. I'm up here. I'm not down here. Feel like Lorian now. But there you go. Yes. So Ridian and Matt, you I'm going to put you on screen, Matt. Let's do that.
Oh.
Yes, you two went out with cameras on things, didn't you?
We did. We went for a jolly jaunt around Swansea with cameras, and we happened to bump into someone.
Swansea, did you say?
Yes, that's Swansea. That little place in Wales, you know the one.
I love your Welsh accent.
Good result last night.
What?
Good result last night, Matt.
Was it?
What, the weather?
No.
Oh,
Are you talking football?
Yes.
Oh, no, we don't know that.
Oh.
We don't. And Ridian has just said in chat, you'd better be aware of your behind-it vape jam. He really wants me not to go. Anyway, him and Matt went out for a bit of a jolly bob, as Matt was saying there, to speak with Peter Black. But Rid introduces him. So, Rid, mate, introduce Peter Black.
Right, good evening everyone, and welcome to another interview with one of the Welsh politicians. This evening I'm joined with Peter Black, who is my regional AM for South Wales West. I get it right this time.
Absolutely.
And Peter's one of the Welsh Liberal Democrats, and the Welsh Liberal Democrats have been so supportive of vaping since the start of the Public Health Wales bill has been put through. So it's basically a little chat between myself and Peter and what he thinks about the bill and where the Welsh Lib Dems plan to go. So, right, we know Kirsty has been very supportive of all vaping in the public, and we've seen the same from you as well.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, there's a number of reasons why I think vaping should be supported. First of all, it's helping a lot of people give up cigarettes. And although vaping, someone who vapes isn't entirely a safe pursuit, it's far safer than smoking cigarettes. It improves people's health tremendously, and of course that means there's a less cost to the NHS as a result of that. So I think that we should be able to say to the vaping industry that actually what you have as a product is a good thing, because you're helping people get healthier, you're helping people give up smoking, you're doing something which governments for decades have failed to do. You know, people have given up smoking, but not in the sort of numbers which are giving up now to take up vaping. And I think that in itself is a really good thing for health generally in Wales and for the health service.
Right, okay. So basically you're saying that vaping is a very good health improvement for smoker switches.
Yes.
So how does that fit in to the Public Health Wales bill as it stands? Surely it doesn't.
Well, it doesn't, no. I mean, the Welsh Government have taken the view that vaping, they've taken a number of views. One is that they think vaping acts as a gateway to smoking, but they have no evidence for that. And the second thing they're arguing is that maybe the vapors could have an impact on second-hand smoke. People in around vapors would suffer as a result of the fumes. Again, there is no evidence for that. But the Minister is saying this is a precautionary approach. He's saying until we have the evidence, we should take the precaution of saying that vaping should not be allowed in public spaces the same way as smoking. Now, there are decades of evidence, epidemiological studies in relation to smoking that shows that second-hand smoke from cigarettes does harm people in the vicinity of smokers. And I think that's absolutely right. As a result of that we said that we should not have smoking in public places. However, there is absolutely no evidence to back up the Minister's point of view, either in terms of vaping encourages people to take up smoking, or that the vapors themselves affect people in the vicinity. And I don't see how you can legislate on that basis if you have no evidence to back it up. And so we're saying that this is an unnecessary and restrictive provision which should not be going into a bill unless you have the evidence to support it.
Right, okay, so we've pretty much established that the Minister has no evidence, but he's been taking on advice from international bodies such as the World Health Organization and the UK-based BMA. But surely, he's taking the advice on rather than following the science.
Yeah.
Should he actually follow the science instead?
Yes, he should. I mean, the BMA basically will ban anything frankly, if they think it's bad for your health. You know, that they ban sweets, they ban all sorts of stuff, and people make choices. People have the right to make choices about their health, and as long as they're informed about what those choices will mean for them. But the World Health Organization, they're basically taking the same view. Minister, this is a precautionary approach. They don't have the evidence either. But there's a lot of scientific studies which shows that vaping is not as dangerous as smoking. That there is there is no danger from secondhand smoke. But also that in terms of people taking up smoking, that actually there is. The studies they've been carried out to date show that nobody takes up smoking as a result of vaping, and nobody gets into smoking having started with vaping, and certainly not young people. So the science says that this measure is wrong. The science says the minister has no support, so he should follow the science.
No, and he hasn't done that. He also hasn't followed the input of people like myself.
No.
It's like... I submitted a response to the Public Health Wales Bill consultation.
Yeah.
I opened myself up for invitation to the HSCC. I wasn't invited. Okay, so basically the question is do you think that the process and the Health Minister has completely ignored the end consumer that this legislation affects?
Yes, I do. I mean, the Health Committee itself has quite extensive evidence which says that the provisions in the bill around vaping are not necessary and should not be supported. Having said that, despite that, the committee itself voted by a majority supported because one of the Plaid Cymru members sided with the government, and that's unfortunate because it may well be if the opposition had kept united, we might be able to block this. We still are going to try to block this. We're going to table amendments in the next few weeks to try to stop this. But the Health Committee's evidence and the evidence gone to the Minister is quite clear on this, that the Minister should not be taking this route. And I think the Minister should have listened to the evidence, looked at the science, and listened to the public opinion, which by and large is against him.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Put an amendment in that essentially makes it more favourable as a whole. Probably going to have specific amendments to the nicotine inhaling device parts. Would you suggest that Welsh vapers out there approach their local AMs from all parties to put amendments that they would like to see?
Well, the amendments have been tabled, so the amendments are there to take out this section of the bill. What I would suggest to vapers across Wales is that in their numbers that they lobby their assembly members, irrespective of parties, particularly Labour and Plaid Cymru, and make it clear to them they do not have their support if they back these measures and do not support these amendments.
Okay, would that you say they will, the vapers will not support that AM? Would that be?
Well, that's up to them, of course. But yeah,
of course. And will that be reflected in the Welsh Assembly elections in May? Do you think that vaping, if people feel strongly enough about it, can influence their vote in May?
Well, it has potential to do that, to be honest. I mean, the turnouts in the Assembly elections are quite low. The margins are very tight, particularly in the regional lists and some of the constituencies. And if vapers were prepared to vote as a bloc against AMs who had supported these restrictions, they could make a difference to a number of elections around Wales. So, my advice is to those vapers, have a look at what your AM has done, have a look on the list and on the constituency, see how they have voted on these amendments and on this bill. And if they supported the ban on vaping in public places, then you should consider saying, well, I'm not going to vote for you in the election. I'm going to vote in favour of an AM who has opposed those provisions. And I think that could make a difference in a number of marginal seats and a number of lists, which are very tight margins indeed. I mean, I won by 54 votes. That's 154,000 cast. So that's how tight some of these contests are.
So if we take the example of Peter's result in the last Welsh Assembly election, 54 votes is nothing. That is essentially a Welsh vape meet in terms of numbers. Absolutely. That can influence everything and the outcome. So, in terms of outcome and the election, the Welsh Lib Dems have been sending out vendor packs to vaping shops.
Yeah.
They've been received by a lot of the vendors that I've been talking to. Whether they decide to use them to promote is entirely up to them.
Yeah.
But what in your opinion would be the outcome of those packs? Would it be signing a petition?
Well, we already have an online petition which has got quite a lot of support. I think the point of the packs is to raise awareness amongst vapers who may not have caught up with this. I've seen a poster up in the city centre, for example, in a vaping shop. So, I know that some of them are going up in some vaping shops. So the idea is to give information out to people. And I think what people need to do with that information is, if they think that they agree with it, that maybe they should use that information to lobby their AMs. We're going to start voting on the public health bill in a couple of weeks. So there's very little time now to sort of do that. We have the final stages coming up in 2 weeks' time. And that's where we need to get AMs on our side.
Yeah, and that the best result that vapers could hope for is to have the Public Health Wales bill completely fall. That is my opinion. That's probably not shared by everyone. But other parties, including more specifically Plaid Cymru, have said that it would be beneficial to have the use of vaping products as a separate piece of legislation. Does that make sense to the Welsh Lib Dems?
Well, if you have evidence to back up that separate piece of legislation. I mean, the best result, to be honest, because the Public Health Bill contains a number of other things which need to be in there, the best result is to take out the section of vaping and pass the Public Health Bill without that section in it, so that all the other measures can go through. If, however, that section on vaping stays in the Public Health Bill, the chances are the Welsh Liberal Democrats will vote against the bill because we don't support it. I think other parties need to consider their position as well and consider doing the same thing. But, I think the government, unfortunately, is mixing up a very valid public health bill with a crusade against vaping, which they cannot justify by the science or the evidence.
I absolutely think that's fantastic. That is. It's not just Kirsty Williams, who's the party leader, that gets vaping. Peter gets vaping. It's fantastic to see. This is the only time we've managed to get a politician to sit down with us and talk about it.
Right.
It's well, in Wales anyway, it's quite hard. So I think everything that you've said is very positive. It will help Welsh vapers watching to motivate them to lobby their AMs, because if that doesn't happen, I could envisage that this bill goes through as it is, give or take the amendments passing at stage 3. I'm going to go back in terms of the amendments, because you said it's all about taking away the choice to do something or not. And in the current amended version, it talks about specific places such as hospitals, playgrounds, and care homes and all that. Right, I don't have an issue with that. It's pubs, because pubs is where vapers like to hang out.
But it stops you pubs with food, doesn't it?
It stops you with pubs that serve food.
Yeah.
But right now, how can I put it? They define a food premises that serves food for a good portion of its business. There aren't many pubs out there that just sell drinks alone.
No, exactly.
If we take the example of my local in Llansammer, theoretically it's a wet pub downstairs and a restaurant upstairs. How would that work for that location? It's very awkward. So would they consider the enforcement of it all is very stop-start.
Yeah, I think this is another problem with the amendments the government have put in, because they've given way to pressure to an extent, and they've tried to limit the vaping ban to certain establishments. And as you say, some of them make sense, but my view is it's the issue for those establishments themselves to make that decision, not for government to tell them to do it, because government don't have the evidence to do it. But the establishment themselves might decide, I don't want vaping in my premises, and that's perfectly legitimate. But I think in terms of the pubs issue, that there's so many grey areas there. I think that's going to be very, very difficult to enforce. I mean, if you go to a pub and you buy a bag of crisps, does that count as a food sale? And if that's the case, does that mean that vaping can't take place in that pub? And I think and most pubs, as you say, now serve food because, frankly, alcohol sales alone don't make money. It's a family experience nowadays. You go to the pub, you have a meal, you have a few drinks, and it's all part of the same experience.
Yeah, I have no figures of how many wet pubs there are in Wales, but I'm guessing that they're few and far between.
Yeah.
So I think the health minister has been very blinkered in the approach, because it doesn't just affect health; it affects other parts of Wales as well.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get people off smoking. Fine. How you do it? How he's doing it? Not so great.
No.
It's rubbish, frankly. And the pubs, wet lead pubs, will they take a risk to allow vaping? Because the enforcement of it is, would they take a risk? Probably not. They may not allow vaping, so you're going to get less people in there. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it's all the overall. The overall impact, not just for people like me, but the businesses around here.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he's retracted. Well, it looks like he's retracted the workplaces restriction. But I would rather see that in black and white, confirming that workplaces are exempt and the current status quo of the business owner, the premises owner makes the decision. Would that be something that the Welsh Lib Dems would want to put in, just as a reassurance to?
Well, I don't really want any of this in legislation, because I think unless you have evidence, you shouldn't be legislating. My view is that because there is no evidence, we should leave vaping alone, and we should let individual establishments make their own choice as to whether or not they want to have vaping in their premises, at workplace, pubs, or other places as well, and they should make that decision themselves on the basis of their knowledge of their customers, of the knowledge of what they're selling, and the knowledge of the area. Because the danger with pubs, of course, is that if you ban vaping, then you're going to drive the vapors out with the smokers, and that's going to make it more difficult to give up smoking. You're going to maybe get vapors taking up smoking again as a result of that, unless you have separate vaping areas, which I think most pubs wouldn't look at, which I think is just unworkable. So I just think that it's better if nothing is in this bill at all. And the minister continues gathering evidence, and if he can show evidence that people do take up smoking as a result of vaping, I don't think the evidence is there. If he can show evidence that there is danger from second-hand vapors, I don't think the evidence is there either, then maybe he should come back to us.
Right, I think that's a fantastic place to end this chat on. I would like to thank Peter for taking time out of his very busy week to see us and to accommodate us. So I think it's safe to say that we like the Welsh Lib Dems to carry on what they're doing, not just now with the Public Health Wales Bill, but up until May and beyond.
Yeah.
We would like a united opposition right now to get this bill the way it should be, evidence-based and not crusade-based, as Peter said earlier. So I think what is happening in Wales is it can end up with something positive if people do their bit.
Yeah.
So if you're a Welsh vendor, look out for the Welsh Lib Dem packs. If you don't have one, let me know, and I will contact Peter or the party directly to get one out to you. Do your bit. And this thing here, this is what it looks like right now, into a better shape for everybody.
Lobby your AMs.
Lobby, nag. And, make them so sick of you being asking to meet them that they give it, pretty much. And make sure that you see your constituent AM and your regional one as well. We don't have much time for the Public Health Wales Bill vote, so get on it. So I would like to thank Peter again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope we talk again in the future.
Yeah.
And for now, best of luck for me.
Thank you very much.
Hope you get the result that you want.
Thank you.
That was... Oh, sorry, Sav. You looked very stern there for a second.
I am very stern.
Yes. That was Ridian. Now, what Ridian's trying to do, rightly so, is to give each of the political parties in Wales their 15 minutes of VTTV airtime, because that's what we're trying to do, to be fair to everybody. And I really do hope that Mark Drakeford will decide to be interviewed by Ridian. We won't just send Matt with the cameras. We'll all go with the cameras and get every possible angle on the mayhem that is sure to ensue. I'm going to say this. I am proud of Rid for what he's doing. And Keith did say he comes across as a professional interviewer. And I think he's doing a fabulous job. Ridian, you get 2 thumbs up from me. Do you get 2 thumbs up from me?
Yes.
Get 2 thumbs up from Keith. Now, before we go into the final piece, which runs for, he said, looking very carefully, 7 minutes and 57 seconds, I have a challenge for you, Keith.
A challenge?
A challenge. Cough notwithstanding, I shall go to close you up, you can, and show the world at large what I have in my hand. Oh, look at that. Bloody thing's out of focus. There you are, that's better. Right, this is a Joytech.
Oh, good old Joytech, yes.
Ego 1 VT. It says it down there. And the thing about an Ego 1 VT is, it is temperature control for those who do not lung. Now, I'm going to be absolutely honest, and Keith did have a drag of this before we came onto the show, before we came live. It's got 12 milligram flavourless, my mix of flavourless juice in there. And I'm here to tell you, for a mouth to lung job, it hits like getting kicked in the throat by an escaping rhinoceros with a unicorn horn on its toe. It's got a hell of a punch to it. Titanium coils in it, temperature control, it's got 3 settings on it. What we'll do, I think, not next week necessarily,
right,
but if not for next week, the week after, then we'll do the full bit on it, as only Keith can. Before I give him it though,
couldn't cope with that.
Why?
Particularly with me cough.
Right, go to camera 2 and you'll see, look at that.
Yes.
4 drags and a nice wispy little cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vale and hill.
Clearing very slowly.
And then I found my best mate Keith had been at home, in bed and ill.
I think the host of Golden Daffodils.
You dirty bugger. Right, there you are, top pocket that, mate.
Oh, right. Is it set? You haven't altered the setting?
No, it's as was.
Well, I'll reserve my...
Will you? Oh, dun, dun, dun. Don't forget to press the button. There you go, look. Visible vapour. Packs a punch for 12 milligram, doesn't it?
Mm.
We like that. Sav's sitting there thinking, I can do mouth to lung. Look at the face. There's the face of somebody thinking, I can do mouth to lung.
Nicely made piece of kit, that.
You say what?
I'm saying I can, and I frequently do.
You dirty bugger.
I know.
Isn't it?
What?
A nice piece of kit, that.
Well, that's for you to decide.
Yeah. Well, to look at, I meant.
Well, you know, you can say that about many
No
things.
elastic band either.
No elastic band, no elastic band with holes in it.
Still haven't got over that.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. There's no elastic bands with holes in it on the double vision either, according to Mark. Now we'll have to call him our Mark. So here's our Mark with a double vision.
Hi and welcome to Solo. Today we're going to be looking at this RDA. It's the Double Vision RDA. Gonna have a quick talk, go down below, have a look, see what we think. This is the box the Double Vision comes in. You've got Comp Vape there, their logo. On the sides, nothing, and on the bottom we've got nothing. Okay, let's have a look inside the box. Inside the box you are getting your RDA. Just take that out for a second. You have a spare red AFC ring and you have a 510 drip tip adapter. I'll just show you the AFC ring. There are your holes. If you notice that the paint's already started to come off on this one and I've not actually used it. You have 3 holes, obviously, one for dual coil and one for single coil. Obviously there's your logo there. Nothing on the inside, it's stainless steel. Okay, you get a 510 drip tip adapter. Show you that. Okay, and underneath we get a bag of goodies. You get a load of O-rings, Allen key, couple of grub screws and a couple of coils. Okay, all that good stuff. Right, let's show you the RDA itself. There you go. It's got double vision on the base of the barrel. And it's got this almost kind of gnarling indentation on the top. It's got a wide bore drip tip. Show you that. There's O-ring at the bottom there. Just put that aside. It is a 22mm diameter RDA, and measuring from here to here, it is 23mm, not including obviously the drip tip or the 510 connection. Okay, to adjust your AFCs, really easy. In fact, I'll just show you. Unscrew this, the top piece here of the barrel, and you take this one off. There you go. In fact, I'm going to put the red one back on to show you. Just show you the actual holes themselves. The holes are measuring 2.6 by 7.7mm and are repeated on both sides. Hopefully you can see that. Not very clear, I'm afraid, obviously. And to put the AFC ring on, it's really simple. Slide that on into the hole. And obviously to adjust your airflow, obviously it's just a case of turning it. And obviously that's repeated on both sides. So to close that off slightly, and then obviously if you want to screw it at that point, just put it on your top of the barrel on and screw it in, and it holds it tight. There you go. And obviously repeat it on both sides. And obviously if you want it in single coil, you just move it to one side over there. Okay, let's have a look at the deck. Okay, here's the deck. It is a 2-post design, and the juice well is measuring 6.4mm, so it's quite a deep juice well, that. The post holes are 3mm by 4mm, so they are quite big. So you can get all of them crazy Clapton, alien-y, coily type things in there. Really good to build on. Okay, just show you underneath. Underneath you have a non-adjustable 510 pin. It comes up with Comp Vape at the bottom and a fake serial number. Got 2 nice O-rings. That's your deck. Okay, just put this back on. body back on. And we'll put the drip tip back on. So that's what it would look like. Okay, I'm going to coil this up now and wick it up, and we'll give it a vape and see what we think. Okie doke. So this is the Double Vision RDA. And we have coils. We have wicks. We have juice. We have vapors. Okay, so that was the up and closey of the Double Vision RDA. So what do I think to it? Well, to be honest with you, for a clone, I don't think it's that bad. I'll give it a, I'd give it a 6 out of 10 for quality. Obviously, that red AFC ring was obviously already scratched before I'd even used it. But I've been using the black one for roughly, I would say, about 2 weeks, and it's been fine. Really do like the deck. I mean, them posts are absolutely brilliant, what with it being 2 posts. Easy to put really unusual coils in there if you want to play around, and obviously being a 6.4mm juice well, you can get plenty of count in there. So what do I think to it? Oh, for a flavour. Okay, let's give it a vape and see what we think. To be honest with you, what with it being designed as a cloud chasing RDA, it is very flavoursome. I must admit, it really is. I really do like this RDA. It is really nice. For the price, obviously, as a clone, yeah, it is not bad. Downsides. What are the downsides? Well, to be honest with you, there's not really that many downsides to this one. The one that slightly niggles me, I suppose, is on the AFC ring. You get condensation between the barrel and the actual AFC ring. So now and again you have to undo it and clean it off and put it back on. And that's about it really, to be honest with you. It's not a bad RDA. I'm really quite impressed with it. The flavour is brilliant. The clouds, obviously, they eat Chuck's clouds. It's easy to control the airflow. There's not much more really I can say. For a clone, I don't think it's a bad little purchase. Okay, so that was the Double Vision RDA. Thanks ever so much for watching, and as always, happy vaping.
Well, no, there was a run out. That was done. That video was done to broadcast BBC broadcast standards with a 10-minute run out of black. Matt linked me off to the BBC broadcast stuff.
Really?
It has 10 minutes of black and a clock at 10 minutes, 10 seconds of black and a clock, and 10 seconds at the end. And he's done the 10 seconds at the end, and it caught us out because I was looking at how much time. Shut up, David.
But that was very professional, wasn't it, when you think about it?
No, it was a mistake.
All right.
Goodness sake, professional. Why not professional? Well, how much hours?
Well, obviously Matt was.
Oh, Matt's professional.
Well, yes, of course.
I mean, you've just got to take one look at him and see.
He looks professional.
Oh,
yes.
I'm not sure what as. But, you know, that's the way it goes.
It's a good job we're all thick-skinned, isn't it?
Or just thick in my case.
Well, I wouldn't have said that, but...
It's true enough.
Yes.
If you hear any what sounds like farts, it's not. It's the cushion squeaking. It is.
Well, yes, I can tell that.
Because I've got a fat ass. Yes.
Yes.
It was a clone. It was a clone. It's cheap. End of, really. There you go. We bring you all kinds here on VTTV, you know. We do our best to bring you as much as we can, don't we, Keith?
Yes.
You haven't got that in your top pocket. There's been comments in chat that you haven't got it in your top pocket.
Well, no, I haven't transferred it yet.
Are you going to?
Oh, of course.
I should hope so too.
Yeah, well, I'll put it in now.
You better do it. Do it now. Do it now.
Right,
do it now. Right. There you are, so people can see. Look.
There we are. Now I'll button it in with this shirt.
Well, you're scared Vicky's going to nick it, like?
I don't think so. There we are.
Now, before we go, if you're in the northeast, pardon me, I'll tell you what, that's nice. Bloody hell, you've got no idea how much brandy I put in that one.
Never.
Anyway, right, look, listen. As I said earlier on, Mario Glover from New Zealand is arriving here tomorrow, 11:20 she lands. And Jill and I said, well, what do you want to do? Because it's like Tuesday and Wednesday that she's busy with the conference. What she wants to do is to go out and see people vaping. So,
all right.
If you're around the northeast, around Sunderland, Durham, Newcastle, South Shields, where the Sundance live like, and places like that, Rurka, Seabourne, you know, all of them places, the Niles, Hill, Hill. That's confused everybody south of
they
Middlesbrough.
Won't follow that.
They'll have no clue. Let me know. Contact me on the Twitter or even Facebook. I only go on Facebook once a day. And let me know. And I don't know, we might meet up somewhere on Saturday or Sunday. We could all go to Beamish and black clouds on the top of the double-decker bus with a knee lid on.
She'll want to look round Durham, presumably.
You would think so. You would think so. But there's a good vape scene in Durham.
Is there?
Oh, you can sit under the statue in black clouds all day.
Which statue?
Well,
the
fella on the horse, the one that was on top of the
yes.
house with no windows. Pension ornament.
Yes.
Aye. It's called the house with no windows because it's got no windows.
I never knew that.
We've lost them now, you know that, don't you? There's people further south than Middlesbrough going, I say, I haven't got a clue. Not the first Scooby-Doo what those two are talking about. If they bring Sav in, we'll understand everything she says. Go on, Sav. Talk of his pet. Will they know what we're talking about? Who?
Yeah, not a clue.
Not a clue,
People in Middlesbrough will know about Penshire Monument, I'm quite sure.
People in Middlesbrough don't know about bloody Satan Carew, man. For goodness sake.
The Smoggies.
The Smoggies, they're well called that now. I used to live down there. In Yarm, you know.
Yarm?
Aye, Yarm.
Yarm, yes.
Listen, hell, look at. Have you seen what the time is?
I have.
It's 3 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock, and therefore, we'll have to get.
The clock's not right, actually.
No, it is right.
It's not.
No, it is. It's radio controlled from Rugbuggery.
Well,
that's right.
Didn't used to be.
Well, it is now. I can tell you, it absolutely is, because it's in Concord with my Apple device.
Concord?
It's in Concord with my Apple devices. It's bang on right at 22:03 and 15 seconds. Beep, beep, beep. There you are.
Yeah, I've got exactly the same. Yes, so it is right.
Oh, right, then.
So,
right.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a great pleasure to share the last hour and a half with you all. We've thoroughly enjoyed it, haven't we?
We have, yes.
It's been good. Oz, tax, double vision, everything. Great. Love it.
The tax in particular.
Oh, I love the tax. Oh, the tax is marvellous. And so, we say farewell, do we not?
We do, yes.
We do, and we do it in the time-honoured manner. All together now. Vape on! Vape hard! And don't let the bastards grind you down. We'll see you all again on the flip side. Take care until then. Bye-bye.